Hello, how are you? I'm fine, thank you. Sit down, please. I'd like to speak English today too, to improve my speaking skill. Let's get it started. Today, it is September 21st, 2022. It's sunny outside. It's on Wednesday today. What are you doing now? What is your plan for the weekend? Where are you going? Or do you have no plan? Both civil and public sectors collaborated to attract more customers, tourists, into the destination. Both civil and public sectors did their best and collaborated to attract more tourists into the destinations. Saved society, saved society, saved society. Active participation from civil society, civil society. Civil society, civil society, civil society. Civil society, civil society, civil society, civil society. Both civil and public sectors collaborated to attract more tourists into the destinations. Both civil and public sectors collaborated in attracting more customers and tourists into the destinations. Are you capable of sticking to your dreams forever? Are you capable of continuing to do something for a long time? Are you capable of achieving something? Are you capable of speaking English? Are you capable of speaking Japanese? The human resources is looking for candidates who are capable of speaking English. There are both capable and incompetent employees. There are both capable and incompetent employees. Capable. I'm not capable of speaking Spanish. I'm not capable of parking my car in narrow spaces. I'm not clever enough to be capable of solving the math questions. My friend is a capable mechanic. 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 Capable mechanic. My friend is a capable mechanic. My friend is a capable mechanic. Are you capable of writing a programming code? Are you capable of writing a programming code? He used to be a capable employee. The human resources is searching for competent candidates, capable candidates, capable employees, capable candidates. Capability. Do you have the capability to keep doing until you achieve something? Do you have the capability to achieve something? Do you have the capability to keep doing until you achieve it? Until you achieve something. Do you have the capability to keep doing until you achieve something? Capability, 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 capability. I think I have the capability to keep doing until I achieve my goals, unless the goals are so huge. The dropping Japanese yen is such a huge threat to the tourist, Japanese tourist going to foreign countries. The dropping Japanese yen is such a huge threat for me to go abroad for sightseeing. The dropping Japanese yen is such a huge threat to me because I'm planning to go abroad for sightseeing, which will the dropping Japanese yen will work against me because if I exchange my Japanese yen for foreign currency, I can exchange less amount of the money compared to the before because of the dropping Japanese yen. So that's why which is such a huge threat to me. Please do not give in to some others' threats. Please do not give in to other threats. Please do not give in to other threat. 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 Please do not give in to others' threat. 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 Please do not give in to threats. Please do not give in to threats. Please do not give in to others' threats. I won't give in to others' threats. I won't give in to others' threats. Others' threats. Others' threats. Others' threats. Others' threats. I won't give in to others' threats. I won't give in to others' threat. Threats. Others' threats. Other threats. Other threats. Other threats. My parent once threatened me. My parent once threatened not to let me in the house. My parents once threatened not to let me in the house. My parents once threatened to break the video game console if I didn't study at all. My parents used to threaten to break the video games unless I studied. My parents used to threaten to break the consoles if I did not study. The weather variation is threatening us, threatening the earth. The dropping Japanese yen is threatening me, threatening many people, including me. The dropping Japanese yen threatening many people, including me. Many people as well as me are threatened by dropping Japanese yen. Not you, but also me are threatened by dropping Japanese yen. The criminal threatened the citizen with knife. My common teacher and parents sometimes threatened me with some words like, if I didn't study, I couldn't go to high school or universities. My parents used to threaten me, saying I would not go to university if I didn't study. My parents and common teachers used to threaten me, saying I wouldn't go to universities if I didn't study. Don't try to threaten me with such words. Some employees, some of my coworkers threatened me with disrespectful words. Some employees threatened me with disrespectful words. I won't forget it. But I don't try to get even with them, get revenge on them. I won't get revenge on them. I won't get even with them. There are many problems threatening the earth. There are many problems threatening the public safety. There are many problems threatening the earth. There are many elements, problems threatening the earth. Threatening the earth. Threatening the earth. Threatening the earth. There are many problems threatening the earth. Threatening the earth. There are many problems threatening the earth. There are many problems threatening the earth. There are many problems threatening the earth. I was threatened by disrespectful words from coworkers. I was threatened by disrespectful words by coworkers. The global warming is threatening the earth. The global warming is threatening our lives. The global warming and environmental disasters are threatening the earth and our lives. The dropping Japanese yen is threatening the earth, threatening me, threatening many people, including me. The bad economy is threatening many people, not including me. The recession is threatening many people, including me. The dropping Japanese yen threatened me. I was threatened by disrespectful words from coworkers. I was threatened by disrespectful words from coworkers. The weather variation is threatening the earth. 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 Don't try to threaten. Some people tend to threaten. Some people tend to threaten when they get angry. Some people tend to threaten when they get angry. Some people are apt to threaten when they get angry. Some people are inclined to threaten when they get angry. Don't threaten. Don't threaten. Don't threaten. Threaten. Don't threaten. Don't threaten. Don't threaten. Don't threaten. Don't threaten. I saw some hooligans threatening smaller kids. I sometimes see the boss threatening the employee. Don't threaten. Don't threaten. My parents once threatened to break down the consoles if I didn't study. My parents used to say that they would break down the consoles if I didn't study. My parents used to threaten to break down the consoles if I didn't study. My parents used to threaten to break down the consoles if I didn't study. The earthquake can pose a tsunami. The earthquake can pose a tsunami. The earthquake can pose a tsunami. The earthquake can pose tsunami. If you have a question, please pose a question. If you have any questions, please pose a question. Please pose a question. Please feel free to pose a question. Please feel free to pose a question. Pose a question. Please feel free to 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 pose a question. 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 Feel free to pose a question. Feel free to pose a question. Since I couldn't understand, I couldn't make heads or tails of the explanations in the textbook, so I went to the teacher and directly posed a question. Since I couldn't understand, I couldn't comprehend, I couldn't apprehend the explanation written on the textbook, so I directly went to the teacher and asked a question, posed a question. I posed a question. I posed a question. Since I couldn't make heads or tails of, I could hardly understand. I could scarcely understand the explanations written on the textbook, so I directly went to the teacher to pose a question. To pose a question. In order to pose a question, so as to pose a question. With a view to posing 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 a question. When the teacher asked if the students had questions, about 80% of the students posed a question. After the class, about half of the students asked a question, posed a question. When the teacher asked if the students had any questions, almost half of them posed a question. When the teacher asked if the students had any questions, almost 90%, almost all of the students posed a question. Since I couldn't make heads or tails of the explanation written on the textbook, so I directly went to the teacher in order to pose a question, in order to pose a question, 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 to pose a question, to pose a question, in order 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 to pose a question, so as to pose a question, pose a question, pose a question, pose a question. Pose a question. We have the time where you can ask a question. So please do not ask. Please do not pose a question here in the event during the speech. Please do not pose any problems. Please do not pose any problems. Do not pose a problem. The employee is known to pose a problem every day. The employee is well known to pose a problem, at least one problem, every day. The delicate problem was brought up at the meeting. The delicate problem was paused at the meeting. The delicate problem was not paused at the meeting. The politician posed a delicate problem at the meeting. The executives avoided posing the problem at the board of directors. The executives avoided raising the problems at the board of directors. One natural disaster might cause more disasters afterwards. The first natural disaster might cause the other natural disasters afterwards. The first disaster might arouse other disasters afterwards. So please be careful. The delicate problem was not posed at the meeting. The problems the citizens want to be solved were not posed at the meeting. The problems the citizens want to be solved was not posed at the meeting. The problems the citizens want to be solved was not posed at the meeting. The issues the citizens want to be solved were not posed. The drunk driver caused a car accident on the road. The drunk driver caused an accident on the road. The drunk driver caused an accident, car accident on the road. The drunk driver caused a car accident, dropping into the paddy field. The drunk driver caused a car accident, dropping into the paddy field. Please do not drive your car if you drink alcoholic beverages in order to avoid car accidents, so as to avoid car accidents. In order to avoid causing a car accident. If you drink alcohol, please refrain from driving your car, lest you should get into the car accident, for fear that you should cause a car accident. For fear that you should cause a car accident, lest that you should cause a car accident, in case that you should cause a car accident. The delicate problem was posed at the meeting. The problem that the citizens want to be solved was not posed at the meeting. The problems the citizens want to be solved were posed at the meeting, but they were not solved yet. They have not been solved yet. The issues that the citizens want to be solved were posed at the meeting. The issues that the citizens want to be solved were posed at the meeting. Pose a problem. Do not pose a problem. Some people pose a problem daily. Some people pose a daily problem. The model is posing for the photo shooting. The model is posing. The model is posing for the photos. The model is posing for the photos. The model had many poses for the photos. The model took many photos with many poses. The model is taking many photos of many poses. The model is taking pictures with a variety of poses. The model is taking a picture with a variety of poses. A great number of poses. A large number of poses. I remember a student of my high school was riding the bicycle with very good pose, very decent pose, very decent rightful pose, vertical spine. The model is taking a lot of pictures with a lot of poses. If you cannot understand the question, you should start from the fundamental theory, fundamental equation, fundamental phases. If you cannot understand the math question, you should start from fundamental theory, fundamental phase, fundamental human rights should be guaranteed. Fundamental human rights are guaranteed by the Constitution. Fundamental human rights are guaranteed by the Constitution. Fundamental human rights are guaranteed by the Constitution. These questions are still fundamental, so if you cannot understand these easy questions, you cannot solve the more difficult questions. Studying every day is fundamental for me. Studying every day is fundamental for me. Studying for more than 12 hours every day is fundamental for some people. Is it fundamental for you to study 12 hours a day? Fundamentals. 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 Fundamentals is the most important part of everything. Fundamentals is the most important part in everything, in anything. Fundamentals is the most important part in everything. Fundamentals is the most important part in everything. Fundamentals is most important part in everything. Fundamentals is the 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 most important part in everything. Studying for more than 12 hours daily is fundamental for some people. It is fundamental for some people to study more than 12 hours daily. Fundamentals. Fundamentals are the most important parts in everything. 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 I fundamentally study every day. I fundamentally study every day. I fundamentally stay guest houses. Guest houses. I fundamentally stay in a business hotel rather than suite rooms. I fundamentally stay in a reasonable hotel. I fundamentally stay in reasonable hotels, such as hostels, guest houses, and so on. Fundamentally, 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 fundamentally. I fundamentally have a lunch at the cafe. I fundamentally eat lunch at the cafe. I fundamentally eat a cup of coffee in the morning. I fundamentally drink a cup of coffee in the morning. I fundamentally drink a cup of coffee in the morning. Would you like a cup of coffee? Would you like a cup of coffee or tea? Coffee, please. I fundamentally drink a cup of coffee in the morning. We were surprised at the amount of financial statement. The company issued a statement saying that it cannot guarantee lifetime employment anymore. The company issued a statement saying that it cannot guarantee lifetime employment anymore. The company issued a statement that it cannot guarantee lifetime employment anymore. The statement will be issued tomorrow. The statement will be issued tomorrow. It won't until tomorrow that the statement is issued. It won't be until tomorrow that the statement is issued. It wasn't until yesterday that the statement was issued. It was not until yesterday that the statement was issued. It was not until yesterday that the statement was issued. It won't until next Monday that the statement is issued. It won't until tomorrow. It won't be until next Monday that the statement is issued. It won't be until next Monday that the statement is issued. A financial statement. We were surprised at the statement. We were surprised at the financial statement. We were surprised at the financial statement. A financial statement. We were surprised at the financial statement. We were surprised at the amount of financial statement. We were surprised at the content of the financial statement. We were surprised at the content of the financial statement. We were surprised at the amount of the financial statement, 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 Financial statement. Financial statement. Financial statement. Financial statement. Financial statement. Financial statement. We were surprised at the content of the financial statement. 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 It won't be until next Monday that the statement is issued. It won't be until next Monday that the statement is issued. A financial statement. We were surprised at the financial statement. We were surprised at the content of the financial statement. We were surprised at the content of the financial statement because of the recession. I'm afraid of looking at the financial statement of this year because of the recession. Everybody is afraid of looking at the financial statement of the company this year. Financial statement. Financial statement. Financial statement. The defendant said no words, stated no word, stated no words. The accused stated no words. Could you state a word? Could you state a word? Otherwise, your silence will be regarded as the agreement with the policy. If you keep silence, which will be regarded as agreement with the policy, agreement to the policy, okay? If you have a question, please pose a question, okay? Please state a word, otherwise your silence will be regarded, viewed, seen as the agreement to the policy. So if you have any questions, please pose a question, okay? State your opinion. Please state your opinion. The expert stated that the basic income is important, is essential. The specialists stated that breaking up full-time worker system is important to improve the recruitment system. to improve the society. The specialists stated that breaking up the full-time worker system is important to vitalize the society. The specialist stated that aftershock might happen in the epicenter, so please, we have to be careful for a time being. Some people state disrespectful words. Some people state disrespectful words. What are you stating? The baseball player stated that the only way to reach incredible level is the daily effort. The baseball player stated that the only way to reach incredible level is to stack up daily effort. The baseball player stated that the only way to reach incredible level is to stack up, accumulate daily small effort. The baseball player stated that the only way to reach incredible level is to stack up, accumulate small daily effort. The only way to reach incredible level is to stack up small daily effort. Have you ever been to the state of New York? Have you ever been to the state of New York? Have you ever been to the state of California? Have you ever been to the state of Florida? Have you ever been to the state of Florida? Have you ever been to the state of Florida? Have you ever been to the state of Florida? Have you ever been to the state of Florida? Have you ever been to the state of Florida? Have you ever been to the state of New York? Have you ever been to the state of California? Have you ever been to the state of Washington? The state of Washington, the state of Washington, the state of Washington, the state of Washington, the state of Washington. The correspondent will tell us the state of the situation, the state of the county. The correspondent there will tell us the state situation of the village. The correspondent there will tell us the state of the village. The correspondent will tell us the more detailed state of the village. Thank you for your reporting. Thank you for your reporting. Could you tell us the state, more detailed state of the disaster-stricken area? Could you tell us the more detailed state of the disaster-stricken area? Disaster-stricken area. Disaster-struck area. Disaster-struck area. Disaster-stricken area. Disaster-stricken area. Disaster-affected area. Could you tell us the more detailed state of the disaster-affected area? Could you tell us the situation, more detailed situation of the disaster-affected areas? The state of affairs. We have to avoid the worst state of affairs. We have to avoid the worst state of affairs. A state of affairs, a state of affairs, a state of affairs, a state of affairs, a state of affairs. A state of affairs, a state of affairs. We have to avoid the worst state of affairs, the worst state of affairs. We have to avoid the worst state of affairs. State of affairs, a state of affairs. Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Japan. The Ministry of International Affairs and Communications. Japan Tourism Agency. Japan Meteorological Agency. A state of emergency. A state of emergency was issued 2 years ago. 1 year ago. I forgot when the state of emergency was issued the last. I forgot when the state of emergency was issued the last. A state of affairs, 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 a state of affairs. A state of affairs. We have to avoid the worst state of affairs. We have to avoid the worst scenario. We have to avoid the worst state of affairs. A 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 state of affairs. We have to avoid the worst state of affairs. We have to avoid the worst state of affairs at any cost. We have to avoid the worst state of affairs at any cost, at all cost, at any cost. A state of affairs. 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 We have to avoid the state of affairs. The worst state of affairs. We have to avoid the worst state of affairs. State of affairs. A state of affairs. What is the difference between the prosecutor and a state attorney? A state attorney. A state-run university. A state-run university. A state-run festival. A state-run festival. A state-run university. High school. A state-run company. A state-run company. A state attorney. What is the difference between the prosecutor and the state of a state attorney? What is the difference between a prosecutor and a state attorney? A state attorney. 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 A state attorney, 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 a state attorney. A state attorney, 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 a state attorney. What is the difference between a state attorney and the prosecutor? A state attorney, 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 a state attorney. What is the difference between the prosecutor and state attorney? A state attorney, 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 a state attorney. A state attorney, a state attorney, a state attorney, a state attorney, a state attorney. A state attorney. A state of affairs. A state of affairs. A state attorney. A state attorney. What is the difference between the prosecutor and the state of a state attorney? A state attorney. A state attorney. The foreign dignitaries were welcomed with heartfelt applause. The foreign dignitaries were welcomed, met with heartfelt applause. Heartfelt, 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 heartfelt. The foreign dignitaries were welcomed, met with heartfelt applause, heartfelt expression, heartfelt applause. I could feel her heartfelt emotion from her singing. I could feel her heartfelt emotion from her singing. I could feel her heartfelt feelings from her singing. I could feel her heartfelt emotion from her singing. I could feel her heartfelt emotion from her singing. Heartfelt emotion, feelings from her singing. I could feel heartfelt emotion from her singing. I could feel heartfelt emotion from singing, from her singing. Heartfelt, heartfelt, heartfelt. Heartfelt, 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 heartfelt. According to the weather forecast, next Monday will be sunny. According to the weather forecast, next Sunday will be sunny. The post office used to be there, across from the convenience store. There used to be a post office across from the convenience store. There used to be a post office across from the convenience store. But it was relocated now. It was relocated a few years ago. The famous street is located across from that street. I usually sit on the seat across from my friends. The post office used to be located across from the convenience store, but it was relocated. The place where post office used to be located was turned into parking lot. The price for the post office was transformed, was turned into the parking lot. I usually practice a lot ahead of the performance. I usually practice a lot ahead of the performance. A slowing car was going ahead of me, but I didn't. But I just followed because I was not in a hurry. I was not in haste. I was not in a hurry. I was not in haste. So I just followed the slow car. There are some obstacles I have to get over ahead of my trip. I have to. I have 2 or 3 things I have to get over. I have to get through before my holidays. I have 2 or 3 problems, obstacles I have to get over. I have to overcome. I have to get through before my holidays. There are 2 or 3 problems that I have to get through before enjoying my holidays. Ahead of my holidays, 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 ahead of my holidays. Since I had already watched the movie ahead of today, so I could understand the line better this time. Since I had already watched the movie twice ahead of today, so I could understand the line better this time. I usually prepare enough ahead of examination. I usually study a lot and prepare enough ahead of prior to examination. I saw the deer crossing the street ahead of me. I saw a couple of deer crossing the street ahead of me. We have the rehearsals ahead of the performance. We will have the rehearsal ahead of the performance. Now that there are many sushi restaurants all over the world, we can enjoy sushi even in foreign countries. There were many balls urging the drivers to drive carefully all over the expressway. There were many warnings to the driver to drive carefully all over the expressway. I found many boards, many warnings to the driver to drive carefully, especially when it comes to the curb. All over the expressway. There were many garbages and trashes all over the street after the party. There were a large number of garbages, a great number of garbages, trashes on the street after the party, all over the street. Do you want to go to the Disneyland along with me? Does someone want to go to the Disneyland along with me? Does someone want to go to the Tokyo Disneyland with me, along with me? I realized that every meal comes with kimchi. In South Korea. When I went to South Korea for sightseeing, I realized that every meal I ordered came along with kimchi, which we didn't order. I usually eat food along with tea or water. Apart from the rainy days, my trip to Singapore was great. Apart from the long hours of plane, my trip was good. Aside from the long hours of the plane, I like traveling. Apart from the long hours of a plane or transportation, I like traveling. Aside from the long hours of transportation, I like traveling. Apart from my terrible handwriting, my essay left nothing to be desired. My essay left nothing to be desired, said my teacher. Apart from my terrible handwriting, my essay left nothing to be desired, said my common teacher. Aside from my terrible handwriting, my essay left nothing to be desired, said my teacher. Apart from my terrible handwriting, my essay left nothing to be desired, said my common teacher. Aside from my terrible handwriting, my essay left nothing to be desired, said my teacher. As of September 21st, the Japanese yen is about 144 yen to US dollar to 1 US dollar. As of today, it is September 21st, 2022. As of today, the merchandise is not sold out yet, so please in a hurry if you want to buy it. As of today, the merchandise has not been sold out yet, so if you want to get it, go for it now. Otherwise, you won't be able to buy it again. We are not going to reproduce the same merchandise again, so please don't miss it. Don't pass up. Don't pass it up. As to the itinerary, there are some parts which need fixing. As for the itinerary, there are some parts which needs fixing. The politician did not refer to the delicate issue. As to mathematics, no one is smarter than him. As for mathematics, he knows the most in this class. He knows the most in this class. No one is knowledgeable as him as for mathematics. No one is as knowledgeable as him. No one is more knowledgeable than him as for mathematics, as to mathematics. The flight has been cancelled due to inclement weather. Because of inclement weather, owing to inclement weather, on account of inclement weather, on account of inclement weather. But for your support, I could not have done it. But for your support, I would not be working here now. But for your support, I could not have reached this destination on time. But for water, we could not leave. But for water, we could not leave. If it were not for water, we could not leave. If it had not been for water, we couldn't have lived. But for music, my life won't exist. But for music, my life won't exist. My life wouldn't exist. But for video games, my life would be more boring. But for music, my life would be boring. But for video games, my life might be boring. But for your support, I could not have reached the destination on time. But for your help, I could not have arrived at the destination in time. But for your help, I could not have got to the destination in time. But for the middle size of the jacket, I won't buy. But for if there is no middle size of the jacket, I won't buy. I will wait for the middle size to be imported, shipped. But for the middle size of the jacket, I won't buy. I will wait for the middle size to be produced again. But for water, we could not live. Were it not for water, we could not live. But it not for what? Had it not been for water, we could not have lived. Had it not been for music, our life might have been more boring. But for planes, our communications, our travel would have taken much longer. But for the planes, our trip to foreign countries would take much longer. But for the planes, our trip to foreign countries would take much longer. But for the planes, our trip to foreign countries would take much longer. But for the plane, if it were not for planes, our trip to foreign countries would take much longer because we have to take the ship, ferry, cruise. But for the planes, our trip to foreign countries would take much longer. But for the planes, our trip to foreign countries would take much longer. But for planes, our trip to foreign countries would take much longer. But for planes, our trip to foreign country would take much longer. But for planes, our trip to foreign country would take much longer. My classmate lives close to my house, so we often went to the school together. My classmate used to live close to my house, so we often went to the school together. So when I forgot something in my school, I went to his house to ask a question or to borrow the same textbook. Does your grandparent live close to your house? Does your grandparent live close to your house? The ambulance came close to running over the pedestrians. The car came close to running over the pedestrians. The car came close to running over the pedestrians. The car came close to running over the pedestrians. The runner was about to be close to the first, but he was taken over at the last minute. My dream is to live close to Beverly Hills. I realized that the superstar used to live close to my house. Contrary to the road rules in Japan, that the drivers drive in the left side of the road. It is the reverse in many other countries. Contrary to the driving seats, the right side of the driving seat in Japan, many other countries adopt the opposite rules. Contrary to the right side of the driving seats in Japan, many other countries adopt the left side of the driving seats. Contrary to yellow New York cabs, the taxis in London are black. In contrast to the black cab in New York, the taxis in London, in contrast to the yellow New York cabs, the taxis in London are black. Contrary to my uncle, my father doesn't care about fashion. The sports meeting was postponed due to typhoon. The sports meeting has been put off due to typhoon. I like traveling except for long hour transportation. I like traveling except for long hour transportation. You can use Japan Rail Pass with many JR public transportation with some exceptions. You can take JR trains, ferries, buses as many times as you want with some exceptions. You can take JR buses, ferries, trains as many times as you want with some exceptions. You can even take Shinkansen, the bullet train. I usually travel except for peak seasons to hold down the prices, to get good dealings of the flights, hotels, and so on. I like traveling except for the long hours of transportation, long hours of plane. I like to travel except for the long hour of moving. Okay, I will finish speaking here. Thank you for watching. See you next time. See you.